speaking of last episode, I noticed you're on like 175 or something.
Yeah, we're up there, you know.
What the hell took you so long to call me, man?
Well,
we're friends. We go way back.
See, the thing is, you know, talking about good reviews, you've been working on getting this incredible review
Yes.
of a TV program for the
Yes.
past couple of years. You see how I turned that into a positive
well done.
right
Yeah,
there?
it's reflective.
I don't want to cook tonight. So you're going to go out. Well, if you're in the New England area, if you're in specifically the East Bay area, or, you know, somewhere within close distance, I suggest Avenue N, because you'll see this guy behind the stove and everywhere else over there. Nick Rabar, chef extraordinaire, and you may have seen him recently on TV and popping up more places on the internet. Of course, you've always done different appearances on local programs, but Heated is something that is kind of
it's a thing.
It's a thing now,
yes.
And it's coming to life. So before we get into that, first off, talk to me about just your background of getting into into culinary, and you wrote a book, and you what's kind of your
I seem to have done a lot on paper, even though it doesn't even feel like I'm doing anything half the time.
Yeah.
But you know, I started cooking when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
I love cooking.
Yeah.
It's still the foundation of everything I do.
Okay.
You know, so it's 26 years ago it all kind of began.
Wow.
And I have this saying that I say to all my young cooks all the time. It's like, when times get tough and things don't seem to be going your way, and it used to be my little sign off on my old show, Chef to Go, keep on cooking. Because if you have a little comfort zone, something that you gravitate towards, and something where you feel like, okay, no matter what's going on in the world, this feels right to me.
Yeah.
And that's what cooking has always been to me.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, Thanksgiving, I was cooking for 100 different families in anticipation for it. At the Pantry, cooked for my family. 20 crazy, people running all over your house. And it's like, but I still, it's like when I need an escape, I just go to what I do, and that's cooking. So I love it.
For you, it's been interesting. It's also helped you, kind of foray into other different things. Like, didn't you run a marathon or something, or you've done all these crazy
I suffered through 3 different marathons. Three different marathons: the New York, Boston, and Providence, which feels like a lifetime ago, but it was only 5 years ago.
Right.
But I love running. That's another sort of bit of escape from life.
Sure.
So, I feel like a turtle half the time, in my shell. Because the more and more I pay attention to, my behavioral habits, I realize that I do a lot of things sort of with all this happening around me, but it's almost like solitude.
Yeah.
Because running, you're out there, you're alone with your thoughts.
Sure.
Cooking, you're in this, restaurant cooking is chaos.
Yes.
I don't care what restaurant you're in. It's chaos.
Yeah.
And it can be a war. So in order to survive and thrive, you have to totally quiet your mind and be comfortable in that small, chaotic environment.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to balance your brain.
You see these shows, obviously, and now with the whole implementation of video on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else, you see always these clips of the Gordon Ramsays or
the glitz and the glam.
You see those little hits and stuff, but it's so much more on a real world basis.
Oh man, I wish for the young students that are out there, the ones that are getting involved with culinary, they really need to know the challenges. And oftentimes those get sugar-coated or they get fictionalized because of television and because of media. And there is a certain, that's a large part of things, especially in 2019. That's a very large part of things. You have to be able to perform in that arena as well.
Sure.
But the nitty-gritty is you're in the kitchen,
right,
and you're on the line, and you're producing food. And if you're successful at it, you have to produce a lot of food.
Yeah.
So it's constant. It's it goes out, it comes in. It goes out, it comes in. And that's, to me, there's a sport involved with it, which is probably why I relate so well to running.
Sure.
Because it's a physical challenge. And I tell you, there are people that say, oh my gosh, when I'm out there and I'm, the restaurant industry made me old. I think it keeps you young. I feel completely fit, and I owe so much of that to being in a kitchen. And I feel, like I'm in the best shape of my life, and I'm, a day older today than I was yesterday.
Sure.
And I just love the up and down and the physicalities of it. I mean, we burn through 12, 14, 16-hour days sometimes. We look at each other at the end of the day and said, imagine if we were sitting at a desk.
Yeah.
How long that would feel. It goes by in a blink of an eye.
Sure. No, it's kind of like what Bill Belichick, says. No, and he always prefaces by saying, no disrespect to plumbers, but certainly beats being a plumber.
I know. No, I feel the exact same way about almost any other profession because, I'm surrounded by people that are impassioned.
Yep.
And that's really the paycheck at the end of the day. And who is impassioned about doing a 16-hour day? Who is impassioned about physical labor? Who's impassioned about, dealing with, all of the different personalities you encounter.
Oh, sure.
In the public and somehow trying to make a dollar so you can keep the roof over your head and, keep the kids fed. It's like, how do you do that? What kind of people are engaging in that world?
We kind of made the football reference, and any sport, the coach, the manager has control of who comes onto the team, and that's part of, it's a big part of the game and the execution. And sure, you can be playing in any stadium, any ballpark, or any arena, and the crowd necessarily does play a little bit of a role, but in your world, the crowd, your customers, the people who are coming in, your performance greatly depends on, is greatly dictated. Your success is by them.
It's by the crowd and the team.
There is no filter.
No,
anybody can walk in with any kind of taste or any. I mean, they could be having a bad day, and that affects their meal. So,
and they certainly have the platforms to voice their opinions.
Tell me about Yelp. What are your thoughts on Yelp?
I'll be honest with you. It used to fry me.
Yeah.
Because when you're new, you're vulnerable.
Sure.
And the vultures will attack you. And I'm not referring to people who yelp as vultures. I'm using the metaphor.
Sure. Yep,
like you're this little baby lamb roaming the pasture.
Right.
And anyone is going to, and they don't know who you are yet.
Right.
So they're going to come in oftentimes with the goal, and again, not even people that yelp, but just any human being is coming in on guard a little bit.
Yeah.
They're a little defensive when they first come into a restaurant for the first time. They don't quite get it, But as time goes on and you start to form your identity, I think that platforms like Yelp and TripAdvisor and Google, I think those are great allies for you. Because what you're doing is you're building your online reputation through reading things and taking it to heart. And it stings sometimes.
Sure.
But I'm not one of those guys. It's like, I don't care for that. Like,
you don't fixate on it.
Yeah, I don't fixate on it. I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
But we have really positive feedback online.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're, there might be someone that's writing it out there and it might be behind a keyboard, but to some degree you have the ability to communicate and to be a human being.
Sure.
And to just be honest with people.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, you get far greater results.
Sure.
So I actually respect all of those different means of giving the average Joe or Sue, the opportunity to go public about what their opinion is.
No, it's a very interesting look at it. The late Anthony Bourdain, he was talking about when Yelp first came out. He was just furious with it, and I think a lot of people were, and smartly Yelp improved their process and started curtailing the what kind of credibility and how the algorithm works and everything. So
well, I also think it was a lot of shock back then.
Yeah.
We've just empowered everyone. It was one thing to survive the 3 or 4 local critics or the handful of national people that would give your restaurant or your business, for that matter, attention over the first 6 to 8 months. And then if you survive that, you're sort of in there.
Right.
But now you have to survive that every single day by every single human being that walks through your door. So I think it makes you up your game a little bit. And I'd say same goes for everything. Same goes for moments like this.
Sure.
Like if you're doing something as fun as what you're doing with carpooling, you have to do it well, or you're not going to get the feedback, or you're not going to get the views, and you're going to lose,
I'm only as good as my
visibility.
last episode. You're only as good as the last plate you serve.
Well, speaking of last episode, I noticed you're on like 175 or something.
Yeah, we're up there, you know.
What the hell took you so long to call me, man?
Well,
we're friends. We go way back.
See, the thing is you know, talking about good reviews, you've been working on getting this incredible review
Yes.
of a TV program for the
Yes.
past couple of years. You see how I turned that into
Yes,
a
well
positive
done.
right
Yeah,
there?
it's deflected.
I can
Very
take
well
that old I can take that old piece of beef and or fish and recreate fish stew.
Repurposed.
You know, it's no, but you have been working on this new project, Heated,
Yes.
for the past couple of years, and
So you were waiting for the timing to be just right.
no, you're right. I didn't want to spill any secrets.
Yes.
So you
Well,
had
thank
this.
you. You're very courteous.
Well, I
Yeah.
try. You know, I mean, I understand. You know, the whole confidentiality clause
Yes,
and
of
stuff.
course,
I've got a
of
little
course.
background in business, but for the past couple of years, you've worked on this, and you recently had a pilot episode come out
Yes.
of Heated, and the reviews for that were awesome.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this show, because people can go online and check it out,
Sure
but
can.
hopefully in just a few weeks or months, we're going to see a full series of this.
We will. And so about 2 years ago, PBS called me and said, we're looking to expand our original programming.
Sure.
And food and culinary is something that we don't have enough of.
Okay.
So we'd like to talk to you. It's kind of like with the whole Seinfeld thing. Why don't
Sure.
you pitch an idea?
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes, and if it's our cup of tea, we'll go ahead and make a pilot.
Sure.
So I racked my brain because I've hosted shows before.
Okay.
So for 10 years I've been hosting local programs with Cox.
Okay.
There was Channel 3, then it was 4, then it was 5 on Your View. And at first I did a show called Stir It Up, and we did it for 24 months in a row.
Wow. And
And Stir It Up, we did it out of Wickford Appliance in Pawtucket. And we filmed one episode per month, but it aired every day for the month.
Okay.
So it was a little bit of me cooking, and then I would bring on guests, and they would cook, and we would talk food, and it was great.
Yep.
When that series came to an end, Cox wanted to continue doing work, so we did Chef to Go.
Okay.
So Chef to Go made it for 8 seasons, total of 6+ years, and we visited 85 different local businesses, which was spectacular because for me, it was such a unique vantage point. There's really nobody that has an on-television show in Rhode Island that is allowing, giving the host or anyone on board this freedom to go into all of these people's businesses and really have these intimate conversations with them about what they're doing. And I love that.
Yeah.
It culminated with me going into a kitchen and cooking based on the day's experiences. And there was a loose tie into everything, whether it was a barbecue show or whether it was a seafood show or a coastline show or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But it was spectacular. When that came to an end, which I suppose all things kind of do, PBS knew of me and they said, what do you want to do? And I said, the first thing I don't want to do is cook on the show. And they said, wait a minute, no cooking, this is what you do, like you're a cook and it doesn't make any sense. I said, I want to do a program that promotes dialogue.
Okay.
Interesting, thought-provoking, educational, humorous dialogue. So they said, well, what's your flavor? And I said, well, I'd like to do a show called Heated. And Heated was a debate. So it's me and a handful of local personalities. And the original show had my buddy Kerry Taylor, who used to play for the Patriots. He owns 212 Health and Performance in Rumford, and then Megan Mooney from Channel 10.
Yep.
And we had Jeannie Trevor, who's a dear friend of mine. She owns Edible Rhody magazine. She's the owner and editor there, so she has a unique view of the food service industry. So we put ourselves in a room, and we started talking about the subject of the show. And for the pilot, I wanted to do donuts.
Okay.
And the reason I wanted to do donuts is because it's probably the most peaceful food there is in the world.
Sure.
It's how can you view donuts from all these complicated, conversation starting angles.
This is why I have a donut every morning.
That's
So,
just because. So you
just
talk
for
to
peaceful,
the donut.
the
Yes.
peaceful.
It
element.
is. It's very zen.
It's very. It completes the circle. It's a circle.
No pun intended.
Hey,
So
I know shapes.
You got shapes down. I'll give you that. So why do that as opposed to cooking? I was really taking a chance.
Yeah.
It could have fizzled. It could have just been me and the gang sitting around disputing donuts. How are they spelled?
Yeah.
What about a healthy donut?
Right.
Where does the donut fit into the meal?
Yeah.
Is it dessert? Is it breakfast? Is it its own thing? What do you drink with it? Is it coffee? Is it coffee milk? Someone said coffee milk, and I actually said, well, you know what? I don't see coffee milk. I I don't understand coffee milk.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I don't like coffee milk. I don't understand it. I'm from New York, so maybe that has a little something to do
All
with it.
sins can be forgiven.
Everyone was like, you know, like they were blown away. Like, first of all, why are you saying this on television?
You just offended the Pope at the Vatican.
Pretty much. I mean, this is Rhode Island.
Yes.
But why? Because I live in Rhode Island, do I have to love coffee? I love coffee.
Sure.
And I love milk.
Yeah.
I just don't love coffee milk.
That's okay.
So, you know, my whole life was spent sort of being cautious of what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of television.
Sure.
You know, I've been on the road show probably 4,000 times.
Sure.
And, you know, I've had my show, and I'm always a little concerned about what are people going to think about that?
Yeah.
And I kind of took the gloves off, you know, for heated. But it's not just a show of 25 minutes of me or 30 minutes of me sitting around gabbing with my friends. We also go to unique places in Rhode Island or New England that serves donuts. So we went to Payne's Donuts on Block Island.
Okay.
We went to Need Donut in Providence.
You went international. You went overseas.
We went to
Block
Connecticut.
Island.
We did. We took the plane and everything.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, all that plane and everything for 12 seconds of quality footage.
That's
you know,
it.
whatever it takes to get the shot.
You got to do what you got to do. I hear there's a donut shop over in Hawaii. You should check out.
Well, that's on the next docket. So, you know, that's what's great about the show.
Yeah.
Is that it shows you great places, but it also, and you can like take sides.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know how many people came up to me and said, and gosh, I'm so sorry for anyone that I'm going to offend. Yeah. I don't understand coffee milk either.
Okay.
They just didn't get it.
It's all right. In the eyes of the
But
Lord.
now I've given the commenter the power to go out and say it.
How can you go to this? How can you go to Avenue and he doesn't like coffee milk?
Listen, if I got to take it on the chin, I will.
You got to do what you got to do.
But I got to do what I got to do. But we had so much fun doing the show, and then we did the Thanksgiving for PBS.
Sure.
For the pledge drive,
Yep.
and now we're developing a series. So donuts were a softball.
Yeah.
Pizza's hardcore, man.
Yeah.
You know, people have their views about
certainly.
pizza. Tacos, barbecue, burgers, you know, fish. Like, does red wine go with fish?
Sure.
Is raw lobster a delicacy or totally disgusting?
Right.
You know, like, you can get into so many things. It doesn't just have to be thick crust or thin crust or soft shell or hard shell. Like, there's depths that have never really been explored.
Right.
When it comes to opening up this forum of conversation.
And once you really start diving into it, and as this, you know, gains momentum and growth, you know, it's kind of tough to say, you know, where would it end? You know, you said all things have to end. I mean, you really could go to the ends of the earth.
I know,
I mean, with all the different international cultures and the international delicacies that are out there. It kind of never needs to end. And that's the great part of it. And having that flexible cast, that's going to be, I think that's a really cool element to the whole thing. But if people want to experience, if people want the Nick Rabar experience, which I think could be a show all in and of itself,
My wife would probably agree with you. She would probably hit mute, but...
It's what do you think my wife does on all these episodes? Yeah, that's great, honey.
Zip.
Yeah,
Next.
Let's go to something else.
Thank you for humoring me, honey.
It's very kind for the view counts. No, but you... if people want that Nick Rabar experience, they can go to Avenue M. They can go to the Pantry over there, and the food there is always delicious.
Thank you.
The food there is always top notch. We love having you guys in. That's always special to us. And it really is. It's different. It's a different kind of atmosphere there. It's kind of got that rustic mill building feel over there, right off of Newman Ave, and your menu is. My wife has said it before. We eat out from time to time. I will always love going to Avenue N because the food there, you can taste the freshness. Thank you.
Well, I'm a little bit neurotic about it. So, like when I'm out doing shows and all that other stuff, it's not in lieu of. It's usually additional hours of the day. Yeah. Because I hover over the details there, and I think that is so critical. And there's so many moving pieces. And so many different human beings that are, have a say and have a way that they would want to do something. So to keep something consistent is really the biggest challenge. When I ask people, give me the highest compliment you can give me as a chef.
Sure.
Oh, artistic or passion, like in a single word. And I always say, no, the biggest compliment I could get would be consistent.
Yeah.
So when I hear that word, we like Avenue N because it's consistent. I'd always rather be a B than be an A one day and a D the next.
Sure.
Sure. I just like to be even keel like that. Because
you're
I think
always
you can
even keeloy at the top of the chart there. You
guess.
do well. You've done well.
Thank you.
The hard work shows. You got a great staff over there.
Yes.
Folks, if you're looking for a great gift for the holidays, gift cards make a wonderful gift there. And of course, stop into the pantry because you can get a nice sandwich to go. You can get something fresh, something
Pantry's
different. It's really cool. I purposely timed this around this so I can go right now to lunch and drop you off and let you get back to work.
Done, sir.
Or maybe you could take a nap because all this run around you do with the wife and the kids and everything. It's
no
nonstop.
No stopping. Keep it going. Full throttle or nothing.
Nick Rabar, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him online. Follow Avenue N. Keep in touch with him on social media because I'm telling you right now, when the series finally comes out, it won't be that long. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be binge watch worthy by far.
By far.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Not over yet. One more announcement. Avenue N has just announced that they are opening up a new location on Hope Street in Providence coming January 2020. This announcement happened after the taping, so there's a little update to the story, kind of like 60 minutes. We're bringing you the news, bringing you the update, so go over, check it out. It's going to be coming January 2020. Congratulations to Nick and his family and everybody over at Avenue N. What a way to start off 2020. A new location, a second location, an additional location, more.